Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre from teddybaldassarre.com, and in this video, we're looking at the PRX, a new PRX though, the PRX Forged Carbon Edition. So on this channel, if you're new here, this is where we cover watches available for purchase on our website, teddybaldassarre.com, as an authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive in this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, but also throughout the video, you have further questions or looking to buy this watch, maybe have some questions for our team, check out the link in the description down below to the product page. But without further ado, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. To call the PRX lineup a sales juggernaut for the Tissot brand is, to put it mildly, understating the impact this model family has had on Tissot's brand recognition and, quite frankly, its bottom line. Whether it's the entry-level quartz models, the Powermatic 80 variants, or even the mechanical chronograph versions, there's something universally attractive about the PRX design that has certified it as a modern-day classic, rooted in an authentic vintage past. And when a product captures the public's imagination the way the PRX has, naturally we're going to see some sequels. 2021 was the year when we saw the release of the PRX, at least in a modern form. Since then, we've seen 35mm versions, 40mm versions, chronographs as mentioned in both quartz and Powermatics to go along with it. Then last year, we saw a teasing of another technology that Tissot has looked at in the past, but also is trying to recreate for the future, looking at the Regatta Timer Sideral. This watch was funky, it was crazy, it had a lot of color to be infused with a forged carbon case that goes along with the package. So what if you took the PRX design language and the case structure of that forged carbon into one singular package? Well, that is exactly what Tissot did with their latest release from the PRX line with the PRX 40mm Carbon Edition. Now, much of the design principles have remained here. There are some mild changes to the overall presentation, but the big changes are going to be the movement on the inside, as well as a forged carbon case, but also a dial. Starting with the measurements of this new PRX, we have a 40.5mm diameter, a 46mm lug to lug, but we measured it, it was a little bit closer in between that 45 to 46mm range, and 11.2mm thick, remaining the same as the other 40mm Powermatic versions that we've seen of the PRX. In totality, you have a PRX that remains a crowd pleaser among average to larger wrists when it comes to wear. The case contours are virtually the same as the steel versions, with measurements just a hair larger. Looking at this material itself, it's one that's more often found in timepieces retailing for over 5 figures from brands like Zenith, Hublot, and Girard-Perregaux. And for some time, carbon has been the high-tech material of choice for anything that requires high strength to weight ratio. And while the weight cutting isn't going to be as apparent as they are with, say, Formula 1 chassis parts or advanced aircraft components, the new Tissot manages to shave off around 15 grams off of the stainless steel case version, being 75 grams in total on that rubber strap. Unlike woven carbon fiber with its distinctive checkerboard layered look, forged carbon mixes shorter carbon fibers with resin and a hardener. The mixture is placed into a mold and then compressed under high pressure, which forces out excess resin. The mold is then heated under pressure, then cured for up to 24 hours before it can be removed. The result is a light, high-strength composite that has a swirled, variegated look that's literally one of a kind, due to its random patterns that result from the manufacturing process. As with the Sideral and many other carbon watches, there's a stainless steel inner structure protecting the movement. Primarily because carbon isn't an ideal material for threading, nor is it ideal for a snap-in version, as is the case here. The sign crown doesn't screw down, but the watch still offers 100 meters of water resistance. The display caseback offers a view of the Powermatic 80 movement, which we will talk about a bit more because there is a notable update here. And this new PRX features the same quick release arrangement for strap swapping present in the steel versions. That means along with the black rubber strap included with the carbon model, you would be able to swap for other 40mm PRX straps in the catalog, including leather versions. Moving on to the dial, it couldn't be more different than the waffle texture found on the steel Powermatic 80 models, or the brushed sunray finish of the quartz versions. No, Tissot has gone all in on the forged carbon here, and that includes the dial. With a slightly larger surface area, there's plenty of real estate for those random patterns and visual textures to catch the light. And again, no two will ever be exactly the same. The dial details and layout remains the same as in other versions, with polish applied indices that get a smattering of lume, along with the faceted baton hands, which also glow once the lights go down. But just keep in mind that this isn't going to be the greatest of surface area that this lume is going to be applied to, so not the greatest in the lume department. You'll find a silver frame for the date window at 3 and a silver relief brand word mark below 12 with the PRX and Powermatic 80 text above 6. A sapphire crystal keeps everything protected, and the dial manages the trick of being both flashy and understated at once. At this point in the story, it's safe to say that Tissot's Powermatic 80 can be classified as a proven reliable movement. It has been used in millions of watches around the globe to this point, and you can catch a glimpse of it through the display case back. And while it's not the prettiest movement in the watch universe, the finishing is clean and attractive for its price segment. And further, it's always nice for someone that's spending up to $1,000 for their watch to be able to see that mechanical movement in operation. But now we get into the interesting aspect about the Powermatic chosen in this PRX. So far, the PRX has relied on the C07.111. There are 3 primary tiers of Powermatic movements, which all have pros and cons affiliated with them. You have the .111s, the .611s, and then also the .811s. The .111s are going to have a synthetic escapement, which is going to provide a lot of benefit when it comes to magnetism and shock, and also is going to benefit from having less components compared to a traditional escapement, which will have pallets as a requirement instead of having just 2 components that is required here instead of multiple components. Then you have the .811, but instead of a Nivicron balance spring in the .611, the .811 is going to use a silicon balance spring. This can be seen on the reverse side of the watch, as you'll see that small SI near the balance assembly. With the inclusion of that silicon balance spring, it's even going to be more suitable in resisting magnetic fields. If you're familiar with the Tissot lineup, you might note that the most famous watch from Tissot that uses the .811 caliber is the Gentleman. This is actually the first time, though, that the PRX has used the .811 movement, which makes the price here going up, a forged carbon case and the higher grade movement for under $1,000, even that much more compelling. In terms of general operation for this movement, you're looking at 21,600 vibrations per hour, or 3 Hertz. It does feature hacking and hand winding. Hacking stop in the seconds when you pull the crown to the farthest position. And as you might suspect, with a name like Powermatic 80, it has a power reserve of 80 hours. So now some final comments on the Tissot PRX Carbon Edition. Start with some of the considerations more on the con side, and then we'll shift into the pros. So first, looking at the case, it is going to be slightly larger than that of the conventional PRX 40mm, just by a small margin. That said, it is going to be lighter, so some of that wearability is going to be impacted in one way as well as in the other way when you're talking about weight, which is probably one of the least considered aspects of how a watch wears on your wrist. In addition, this is probably going to be the least versatile of any of the PRXs. There is some sleek stealth factor to what this watch is bringing forth, but compared to some of those more conventional dial colors, might not be as viable in a variety of circumstances. And then one final point is that this is going to be the most expensive PRX in a 3-hand configuration thus far. But now there's the reason why this is the most expensive PRX to this point, and it comes down to incorporating 2 things that we have yet to see from this entire lineup. For one, this is probably the least expensive forged carbon case watch that I can think of in the entire industry. As we talked about, you're typically seeing multiple zeros being added to the equation if you want to get into this case material. Further, this is the first time in the PRX's history that is using this upgraded movement with the .811 with that silicon balance spring, 80-hour power reserve to go along with it. These movements are as proven as any, but I know some people out there like to see this elevated version utilized in the PRX. Well, it is here with this take. Finishing across the board remains exceptional. You are not getting a bracelet, but the finishing on the case remains the same. It's not going to show the same level of reflection because of this case material type, but still, if you look at the details, they are there, and then you're also getting a dial, which I think looks phenomenal up close. The random but amazing patterns that come with this forged carbon structure is simply amazing to look at. So what you're getting with the PRX Carbon is much of the same that came from the PRX for a long time. Yes, the absence of a bracelet, but in lieu of that, you're getting a case material type that is unheard of at this price range to go along with the upgraded movement and the familiar looks that so many people have come to love around the globe with the PRX. All right, everybody, that's all we have for this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really do appreciate that. Also, if you are in the market for this watch, it is available on TeddyBaldassarre.com. TeddyBaldassarre.com is a full authorized dealer of over 30 brands. Each purchase from our website comes with a full factory warranty, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and also supports the content that we're creating on our main channel as well as here. And we love what we're doing here, so if you can support us, we really do appreciate it. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.